Welcome to the Emerald Athlete Podcast. I'm your host, Chrissy Doyle, and on this podcast I speak to different Irish athletes about their highs, their lows, biggest battles, biggest successes, and why they fell in love with their sport. In this episode I chat to Munster Rugby captain Maeve Óg O'Leary. We discuss getting into rugby, girls starting rugby and the rise, the mental side of sport, injuries, recovery and so much more. Next up, Maeve Óg. Maeve Óg, how are you? You're very welcome to the podcast.
I'm good, Chrissy. Thank you. How are you getting on?
Oh, sure, I'm all good. I think we're at the end of the kind of the summer now, or the nice weather, but it was deadly while it lasted, to be fair.
No, definitely. And I was just out for a running session there. I can attest that it's still really warm outside, but I'm hoping it can just hold off now for August for our games and we'll be laughing.
Yeah, no, because I tell you what, I know sometimes like it could be not used to it, but it is nice going out onto a pitch or whatever, just with the sunshine as well, rather than the muck and the kind of the rain we're used to as well.
No, definitely. I think we did a competition called Celtic Challenge over the winter, and it runs from kind of December, January up until March. And I think it rained for every single one of our sessions, and we probably had over 30 pitch sessions anyway across the couple of weeks. But my God, it was tough. So to be able to train now in the dry and the sun is an absolute blessing.
Yeah, no, Jesus, it's unreal. The only thing I'd be thinking of for rugby as well with yourselves, and it's very hard to come across it, I'd say the ground does be a lot harder, which is obviously going to be a thing as well.
Yeah, definitely. But you know, the funny thing is for Interpros, and it happens every year now, really, is that we play on AstroTurf a lot. So with Munster, we train inside in UL at the Pavilion, which is already a 4G. And then this year our matches are, we've 2 in Cork in Virgin Media Park and 2 in the Dexcom in Galway. So we're going to be on all Astro anyway. So right now the grass ground is probably harder than an AstroTurf pitch. So it's probably good in some ways that we're able to be on, I suppose, maybe a little bit of a safer surface. I don't know what one is less or more.
Yeah, no. That's absolutely unreal to have those facilities as well that just kind of cancels it all out. So yeah, forget the hard ground, just let the sun keep shining if we can.
Exactly.
Maeve, I know we were talking a bit off air about, the rise now of women's sports and maybe women in rugby as well. But how did it all start for yourself, or how did you kind of get into rugby?
Yeah, so I suppose rugby's been in my life since I was very young. My brother is actually a professional rugby player. So there's 5 kids in my family. He's the oldest. He's 7 years older than me. So kind of growing up, we would have always had rugby in our life because of, I suppose, of him. My dad would have played as well growing up. So he was my brother's coach. And then sure, didn't everyone follow suit? Except for me. So my 4 siblings played. Shane, Peter and Connor, the 3 brothers, and then Sinead used to play with the boys as well over in Killaloe. But I never did. I never picked up a ball, but it was always very much in our family. We'd always be out in the garden throwing around the rugby ball. My left side was always way stronger than the right side. You know yourself, always favour one. But it wasn't then until I was about 15 that rugby became available to me in my town. So it started off in St. Anne's Community College, which was my secondary school in Killaloe and Clare growing up. And from there, then Ballina Killaloe formed a club team. There was a teacher called Grace Carney who really pushed things, and she kind of got me into rugby and got me starting out and playing at the age of 15. But I suppose it had always been in my family before that. And I think at like 16, I saw Shane. He used to play with Connacht during that time, and I think that was the year, it was 15 or 16 that Connacht went on to win the Pro 12 over in Edinburgh. So like we'd loads of big moments, I suppose, growing up that we would have loved it and watched on. But from a women's rugby perspective, it really didn't kind of start in my life until like 15.
Yeah, that's unbelievable how your family is just like so much in rugby and like that, and a professional rugby player as well. Like that's just unreal. Like, and just because like it's great to see, just even as a family as well, just getting the ball out the back garden, as you say, and just pass it around. It's great that you have that kind of thing to share and all do together. And it's great then you had the opportunity, and fair play to that teacher for pushing it as well to make a start.
Yeah, definitely. And like, to be honest, even when I'd be thrown around the rugby ball, I never ever thought it would be an option for me to play. It wasn't even something that I suppose entered my mind because women's rugby wasn't that visible at the time. I knew that obviously the Ireland team would have played. Not many of their games were televised. Mostly the games were up in Ashbourne. But it wasn't really until 2015, 2016 that I started to understand like the scope of how much women's rugby there was in Ireland, even though it wasn't that much at the time. But yeah, no, it definitely, I suppose, started my love for it. And I used to play a lot of camogie, but as you know, in camogie, you can't really bring the physical element. Whereas I was always a bit more of a physical player. So when I learned that I could go and play rugby and just catch the ball and run through people, I was delighted. And sure, I never looked back really then.
Yeah, and I think I love rugby in a sense as well. That's why I think it's great for both men and women because it does teach that discipline as well. And, and emotion wise, like it is good to kind of get a bit of not anger out of you, but be able to tackle someone and do the bit of physicality and the element of that as well.
Definitely, like I remember in camogie trying to navigate how I could be physical, and if you put a hand on someone's back in camogie, like it's a free, like there's literally zero. So we used to just use like our hips and arses to try and shove people out of tackles. And I remember like I'd practice that because I was like, if that's how I can be physical, no. But no, when the rugby started, it was great, and sure, growing up with siblings, you'd nearly be wrestling and being physical anyway, just in and around the house and stuff. So I was definitely ready for it when it came around.
Yeah, no, unbelievable. And just moving on then, Maeve Óg as well. I know that you ended up playing rugby with Blackrock, and I know that's a very kind of special club for yourself as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like I started my underage years up at Annakillaloo, but we don't have a senior team down here. They are looking to get one going now. So if there is anyone interested, I'm like, get your hands up. But when I moved to college when I was 18 for Dublin, I suppose rugby was definitely in my mind, but I thought I'd get up, I'd play a bit of college rugby, and I'd see how I got on then. And it must have been a couple of sessions into my DCU training that my coach Eddie said, "Here, we'll have to get you a club up here, so you're playing a bit more rugby." And there just used to be a carload that would drive over to Blackrock. A girl called Emer Curry. She's an international herself, but her dad used to drive us all across the M50. I mean, we couldn't have picked a further club. Like, I'm not sure at Dublin, but you were going from exit 4 on the M50 down to exit 14. Like, it's a long way, especially at rush hour. But yeah, we all just used to go down together, and it was lovely because it was I started from a very enjoyable place rather than like I want to go and play the highest level of rugby. I was like, I just want to go down here to this club and throw the ball around and see what goes on. And sure, it's become a real second home to me now, which is lovely.
Yeah, and I think it's unreal sometimes just to have like a good friendship group too, where you can just, go and have the crack and enjoy it. Because I know there's all the talk about being professional, like, and doing things right, and you want to give the best to yourself, but that connection, I think, sometimes with friends and just, training together and playing together, sometimes it's not talked about enough, nearly the impact of that.
Definitely, and I think that's genuinely the reason that everybody kind of starts off playing sport is because it's for enjoyment, it's sociable, you're making friends. And I think as you do get older, or as you do, I suppose, climb the ranks and get into different squads, sometimes that can just, I suppose, fall out of your mind because you're chasing such high goals and dreams. But yeah, that's something that's definitely been really important to me in the last couple of years. Again, is just connection with my teammates and my friends, and really just enjoying it. So I'm delighted that I suppose I led with that when I got down to Blackrock at the start.
Yeah, no, and that's great too. And it's still difficult for me to think that it was nearly 15 again. You got started or into a team where you kind of felt comfortable in the sport you wanted. That, it's great now that maybe you're talking 7, 8 year olds now can, get started at rugby and kind of build it from there rather than maybe wait for as long as you did kind of, to kind of get into that sport you wanted with a group and thoroughly enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it's class. And I think even now, like obviously I'm 26, so we've 18-year-old girls coming up to the Munster senior team and they've been playing since they're young. And you're like, wow, the skill level, I suppose, the entry level that they're all coming into senior rugby at now compared to when I was going in myself is just like night and day. And it's testament to, the volunteers down in all the clubs across Ireland. And then obviously the national talent programs and provincial talent programs too. It's the impact in the game is just growing so much at a grassroots level. It's so exciting, but I can't wait to see it continue to grow as well.
Yeah, absolutely unreal. And Maeve Óg, tell me as well if there was a young, I suppose, Maeve Óg there that's maybe 15, 16, and is thinking of maybe starting rugby and seeing how well the Irish team is doing and how well Irish rugby is going for women at the moment, and they want to make a start. Is there anything you would kind of tips you would give them, or what would you kind of say to them?
Yeah, like I think the biggest thing for rugby that's always stood out to me is that there really is a place for everyone. So if you're someone who's played other sports growing up, maybe you haven't found yourself or found a group that you feel really confident and comfortable with, that's something that I found in rugby. So to just go and give it a try, no matter I suppose the type of athlete you are or whatever, there is a place for you on a rugby field, whether that's prop, winger, back row, centre. There really is a place, and I think it's a game that has a lot of camaraderie and respect. So really, to just step into it and give it a try, and whether it's for a social reason or to actually go on now and have a career in it, which women can do in Ireland, which is exciting. Yeah, really just to go for it and enjoy it. And you can express yourself so much on a rugby field too, which is so nice because you can be that physical, or if you want, you can just be that nippy player that runs down the wing. But yeah, I think just really go for it and enjoy it.
Yeah, and I always think that with rugby as well, that if you have a friend and you're kind of they weren't involved in your team and you wanted to kind of convince your friend to come, if they're quick, there's a place for you, as you said. If you're strong, there's a place for you. If you're good at catching, there's so many different skills and positions where you can just slot in if you're good at one single thing.
Exactly. And I think that's why I love the sport so much. Like, it doesn't matter where you've come from, maybe previously, what sort of sporting experience you even have. There is genuinely a place for you in rugby, which I think is unbelievable.
Yeah, no, it's unreal, and I think that's why it's like I love soccer, I love GA, I love all the different sports, but I kind of feel it brings so many different personalities together of different people, and I think that's why rugby is special in a way too.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I think the widespread of it now spreading throughout the country is unreal. And to see new clubs popping up north, south, east, and west is class. So I just can't wait to continue to see it happen, to see the women's game grow at grassroots, but also to see the professional level of it grow. So that women, or young girls growing up today can see, oh, I can go on now and be a professional rugby player like the men are and have done. So it's so exciting.
Yeah, it's unreal, and it's great for those girls to be able to look now, as you say, and see so many women doing well. And was there anybody for you, Maeve, growing up? I know your brothers and your family were doing so well, and maybe that's who you would pick. But is there anybody that stood out for yourself growing up, where they were like kind of like a role model or someone you really wanted to be like?
Yeah, I suppose my brother definitely has been a very big role model for me. He hasn't had the easiest career, I suppose, in terms of settling in one club for his whole career. He's been to France, England, Canada, America, where he played with Miami. So he's been, I suppose, a very big role model in the way he's dealt with his career. He's had plenty of ups and downs, and I think his resilience and I suppose perspective that he's gained, he's really brought me along with that. But when I look at role models from when maybe I was younger and the women's game, like there's a couple of players who really stand out to me who I remember I went to the Ireland Australia game in the 2017 World Cup. Up in the UCD Bowl, so it would have been the likes of Neve Briggs, Sene Naupu. I remember Nick Cronin was starting off and getting into the team there, and Emer Constantine. So they were just some of the players that I remember seeing them and saying, "Wow, they're so cool! I can't believe they're here playing for Ireland." So yeah, and I think for young girls now, there's probably you could name 20 girls because they're so visible. They're on TV, they're on billboards, they're on social media, and they deserve every single bit of it. The girls do.
Yeah, absolutely. And another thing, I feel like I'm repeating saying this a lot, but I really feel strongly about this. Social media obviously has a kind of, I suppose, a dark place, but I think social media for sports stars doing well at the moment, being able to share their kind of journey, especially on Instagram and different things like that, is unbelievable because it just kind of gives a pathway for people to get involved in sport, see the cool side of it, and basically kind of encourage them to get involved. I think it has a really good place, at the same time.
Yeah, like I couldn't agree more. And the reality is like the next generation, the people growing up now, they do spend so much more time on their phones. So if there is an opportunity, I suppose, to be a positive influence online, it's definitely the case that the women's players take it. I think a really good piece, and you saw it loads over the World Cup, is like the personality of the players that come out.
Yeah.
And it's something that's always like I suppose a bit of a chime. The power of personality in women's sport in general, but in the women's game is unbelievable. And I think you've a lot of young women's rugby fans, I suppose, versus maybe a little bit more of a traditional side to the men's game. And yeah, social media has been a massive part to play in it. You see fans being able to interact with their role models, like the likes of Anna McGann, Eve Higgins, Leah Tarpey. They're all posting online and showing and giving insight into what it takes to be a women's rugby player and a professional women's rugby player. So I think it's incredibly powerful and special. And social media does have its dark side, but when it's used in the right way, it can be very impactful.
Yeah, 100%. And one of my pet peeves, or something I really hate, is I hate the whole media training thing now, where people nearly have to be like robots. So seeing, as you say, that expressive side and personalities, and just, genuine reactions of how they're feeling and, what they're doing, I think that's so good. And everybody wants to get behind that or listen to it more.
It is. It's so refreshing. It's so refreshing to see one of the best rugby players in the world dancing on your screen. Like even Alona Maher, like she has been insane and she's very, very real. Whereas I do think when you are chatting to traditional media a little bit more, you do get that kind of media training. You're trying not to, I suppose, it's someone else writing for you. Whereas when you're online, you're writing for yourself and putting yourself out there. So no, I think it's class and it's been unbelievable in growing the women's game, definitely.
100%. And I want to take it just a little bit forward from Blackrock, then again, Maeve Óg, and just getting to represent Munster. What was the whole emotion like, getting the phone call, and going into the Munster team?
It was unreal. Like I played Munster underage. I would have played under 18 sevens when I was 17, and then I was under 18 15s when I was 18 as well. So I kind of suppose I got a little bit of a taster there. I would say when I was that age, the imposter syndrome was at an all-time high. I hadn't been in the sport long. I felt, a good few of the girls around me had been in it a good few more years. And also just like you are really like developing and growing up and figuring yourself out when you're under 18. So I didn't make my first year senior of Munster. I just didn't make the squad. I was very young, I suppose, coming into it, hadn't that much experience under my belt. And then COVID hit, so it was really strange. And within that COVID block, my brother Shane moved home for a little while, and he had previously been with, I think he was with one of his clubs in the UK, and I just basically started doing his pre-season program with him. So he'd go and do a speed session in the backyard, and I'd be out there with him, or he'd be hopping out to a gym someone is letting borrowed. I would go and just follow it. So I suppose I give him a bit of a bit of the kudos for getting me into such good nick from an S&C point of view, but it just meant that I was able to fall into that summer block of training with Munster as fit as I possibly could be. And yeah, I couldn't believe really that I got the start on my first cap. Under Matt Brown it was at the time, but also just surrounded by the other players that I was on the field with. But it was a very special moment. It was up in Ulster in the Kingspan, and you know what, I felt ready for it. I think I was 20 or 21. God, it wasn't that long ago at all, but I think I felt so much more ready versus maybe when I was 18 trying to break into that squad for the first time. I definitely probably wouldn't have been ready that summer. So just grateful to have, I suppose, maybe not been selected that first time and had that time to mature, grow, play a good amount of club rugby, and also just get into good nick during that COVID timing. So it was unreal. And I think I always say it, but putting on the Munster jersey is such a feeling. It really feels like this shield that you have on, and I get that feeling when I wear the Munster jersey. So it was very special to be able to wear it and have my family there as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say it was amazing. And that COVID block for, I suppose, the 5K runs or the home gym to kind of like, there was nothing else to do anyway. So it was the best time ever to kind of get in shape or whatever you needed.
No, I was the fittest and most tanned I've ever been, because we literally run in the mornings and we'd lie out tanning all day. Like it was a great time that I actually miss and loved because all our family was home. But no, it definitely was good to me.
Yeah, no, unreal. I mean, when you take out everything else and you just say it like that, it's like you can't beat it. It's
No.
unreal.
It wasn't a real world. And look, obviously there was so much turmoil going on around the place as well, but we were very lucky to not have had any major impact off the back of it. So I just tried to use the time to capitalise, and sure I did. And I didn't even realise what I was doing when I was doing all those training sessions. I just said I'd give it a go, and yeah, it worked out very well.
Yeah, 100%. And just even when you say the jersey there, I always feel when I see a Munster jersey, it's like a red brick wall almost. It's just like I can definitely get what you mean by when you put on the jersey. I always get that feeling when I even see it on TV, you know.
Absolutely, yeah. And like I think you look at some of the past greats that have worn it as well, and just to be able to like join them in a small capacity for your first cap is unreal. And we always, I suppose, talk about the pride and legacy when you do pull it on. As a team, even this year, like that's really big for us. So it's unreal.
What was the first thing? Is there anything that comes to mind when you first got in, or maybe the senior setup? Was there anything that you maybe learned, or you thought, oh, this is a step up here now? Is there anything come to your mind in that point of view?
Yeah, it's just that's such a good question because I always remember thinking when I jumped up into senior rugby, I remember thinking, oh my God, like the gap is huge. And I remember thinking, like, when I'm older, I'm going to build some sort of a program that helps young girls bridge that gap because I felt, I suppose, pretty out of my depth for the probably first couple of months anyway. And that was up in Blackrock. And I remember just thinking, God, like how does one bridge the gap for this? And I suppose now you obviously see there is under 20 Ireland, under 18 Ireland for the women's game, which wasn't in place. So I think that's really, really effective to have in place. I think the NTS, which is the National Talent Squad, and the PTS, the Provincial Talent Squad, that's also for, I think it's a development squad basically run within provinces by pathway coaches, I think for around 16 to maybe 24-year-olds. So having those in place is unbelievable. But I would genuinely say it's probably just like a general skill thing and physicality thing. Like when you jump from under 18 up to playing against women maybe who are 26, 27, you know, their gym age is very high. They've been lifting more. They've proper nutrition advice around them. That's probably another really big thing is the physicality side. So that definitely, I felt that a lot when I was 18, 19, and probably settled into it a bit more when I was 20 and understanding that like, okay, this is a big jump up. But yeah, I think I definitely felt that jump when I was going from underage to senior.
Yeah, that's amazing too. And you know, if you're not doing gym work, especially with the sport you're in, and I want you to talk to me as well, Maeve Óg, a bit. I'm saying this to every female guest I have, but I really want to hone this home to every woman or girl that's listening. The nutritional needs, you know, fueling the body, because there used to be such a big thing. Oh no, carbs or whatever like that. And my own mother will kill me for saying this now, but I remember my own mother coming in after a full day's work on her feet doing stuff and say, I haven't eaten all day. I've been so good. And I nearly put my hand up to my face and say, that can't be right. What? Talk to me a bit about nutrition, I suppose, and the needs.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and I think, I don't know what it is, but there's definitely something ingrained in Irish society around like, you know, or mothers even saying that, or it is a thing of like, oh, I'm being very good now today. You know, I don't want any extra weight on for the summer or all this. It's definitely just like this old Irish thing that I think it's probably throughout all of our families really in Ireland. But yeah, I just can't, I suppose, express how important it is to fuel your body. I am so pro carb. It's not even funny. Like I love eating my carbs. It's my energy. And I just can't express, I suppose, to young female athletes. I always put it like, if I can try and put my very best foot forward in all of my performances, whether that's for my club, for Munster, for Ireland, I will never let fueling be the reason that I don't go and perform. It's something that we can control, something that we can give huge impact to our performances. So I am so big on nutrition. I'm telling you now as well, like just the whole, I suppose, dysmorphia side of things too. Like obviously as young girls on social media, there is so much out there about the way that you should look. But when you look back at the times that you were able to go and represent your club or Munster or Ireland or, you know, even your tag team that you could be playing on, you want to go and put a performance out there. No one is ever going to remember what you looked like, what you were wearing, these small things, even though it is so big in your mind growing up. And part of that is definitely down to social media. I promise as you get older and I suppose get that little bit wiser too, these things really don't matter. So I just, yeah, I suppose I couldn't promote nutrition anymore. The simplest way I look at it is carbs pre-training and carbs and protein post-training. And yeah, I like to think I never, suppose, would let nutrition be a reason that I don't perform. I would hate to allow myself to ever do that, but it is such a hugely important topic, and there's so much misinformation around nutrition. But yeah, your body needs the fuel, and if you want to perform and perform at the highest level, you have to get your fuel into you.
Yeah, and I know it doesn't work like this, but like you really should be rubbing your hands together, and getting permission here to have more food on board, feel better about myself, and ready to go out and perform. Because the last thing you know as an athlete as well is just feeling sluggish or not having an energy for to play the whole game, or after 20 minutes you feel like, oh, I can't run here, and then even injuries as well. If you don't have enough fuel on board, you could push it, and then next thing you know, you're feeling your calf, your hamstring as well.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And like there is, we always talk about like two of the major boulders that you can genuinely control around performance, but also recovery, rehab, injury, that kind of thing. And it's always sleep and nutrition. And then everything else that comes after that, like, your ice baths or your sauna, they're just the one percenters. But like, you will be, completely doing yourself a disservice if you're not prioritizing your sleep and nutrition. And I know it is hard to find, I suppose, the right accurate information out there, but we always say like half a plate of carbs. If you're having a plate, make sure half the plate is carbs pre-training, and make sure that it's either half or a quarter of carbs and half or a quarter of protein after training, as a very basic rule of thumb. But yeah, it is. It's such an important piece, and anyone, I suppose, who is playing with a representative team, especially now in the women's game, there's more and more education around it. But yeah, food is fuel. It's like if you were driving from Tip up to Dublin, you're not going to put 5 litres of fuel into the car to do a 200 whatever kilometre drive. It just doesn't make sense. So your body's the
Yeah.
same. You need your fuel and energy to get through a match.
Yeah, and your body will be thankful for it. Like, I know the car doesn't have feelings, but the car will hate you if you don't put enough fuel into it going from
Well,
Tip
the
to
car may
Dublin,
even pull your bank account if you're not putting the fuel in. But it's the same with the body. Like, you'll just break down, and yeah, and even just, I suppose, like from a wanting to be able to make 20 tackles in a game like that, a lot of that energy is going to come from your fuel. It's so important.
Yeah, and particularly rugby wise as well. The I tackling is energy zapping as well. You know what I mean? Getting up and trying to make a tackle after tackle will take its toll on you.
Yeah, it is. And like that contact element of rugby, because obviously, you can run and be as conditioned that way, but the physical hits that your body takes, like it's very important that you have the fuel pre-training and the protein after for recovery. But the conditioning of rugby is different to, I suppose, any other sport that I've ever played. And even like we all top up with fuel at half time. So after 40 minutes first half, you're getting jellies or some carbohydrate gels or juice on board. So it's about looking at, I suppose, every opportunity that you can fuel, but also what works for you. There's some girls who would not be able to eat a massive breakfast the day of a match because they just can't. They'd be getting sick on the sideline kind of thing. So even if it's the night before that you're fueling up, but it's about what's right for you. But yeah, I can't say it enough how important your food is for your energy.
100%, yeah, no, and I'm glad to really get that message across because I feel it is better now, but I feel like it's been so kind of bad or wrong information out there, very mixed information, let's say, for just a long period of time.
Yeah.
And Maeve Óg, talk to me as well just about, captaining Munster now, winning the championship, like just amazing.
It was unbelievable, and I actually still don't really feel like it's real when I say that I had the opportunity to captain Munster at all, because I suppose it's something that I probably never dreamed of. I always just wanted to be a player and go out and play, but it was probably the biggest honour of my life, definitely to date. And I suppose even though I was named in as captain, like there is such an incredible group of players in Munster and so many leaders amongst the team, that it felt like more so than me being on my own, being a captain, like I had just like a blanket of players along with me that were able to, I suppose, help push our squad to win the Interpros last year. I was coming off the back of about 13 months of injury and 2 knee surgeries myself, so my goal was just to get back on the field. So to be able to go and do it with the captain's badge was really, really special. And I still can't quite believe that, I've had the honour to do that.
Unreal, yeah. And what sort of captain would you say you are, Maeve Óg? I have to trust you now, to be honest, about this as well. Like, are you laying down the law, kind of, or do you kind of let your kind of performance on the pitch do the talking, or what sort of captain do you reckon you'd be?
Yeah, it's a hard one. I remember last year when I was, I suppose, stepping into my first time being captain, I was asking myself these questions. I was like, oh, like, I suppose, what do I do now? And I think the thing that I just have tried to do is be very true to myself and who I am throughout this, because you obviously look up to loads of captains when you're growing up and the captains of your team, and you're thinking, oh, should I do that or do I do that? But I've just tried to lead with what I feel and think is right. I would definitely say I am more on the pitch, kind of lead by performance. Because off the pitch, I don't want it to be the one voice me all the time. Sometimes as well, like I'm also still a player, learning, developing, growing. I have so many teammates alongside me who've been through a number of environments, and that are senior players and offer such incredible advice, feedback throughout pitch sessions to the girls and all. So I'm definitely someone who loves to, I suppose, ensure that every player has a voice and has an opportunity to speak up. And then I suppose as a captain, I like to lead through performance on the pitch as well.
Yeah, 100%. And something always comes into my head as well. It's so good you say there that you've kind of other leaders that would do the talking, because we're only human. And as even if you're captain, you might have a poor first half.
Of course.
Like the thoughts of going in and being the only speaker and not after, but maybe performing well in the first half, and you're going to give a speech to everybody else. It's kind of an awkward situation. So having those others around in case, you just need that time just to focus on what you're going to do for the second half rather than me giving this, motivational speech.
Yeah, no, it's such a valid point, and like I think my dad works a little bit in sub sports psychology, and he always says to me like the best thing that you can do for the team is make sure you're focusing on your own performance too. Because obviously with captaincy, like you've these, a number of other things I suppose sitting on your shoulders. So I will always ensure that I've, done my own personal work to make sure that I can go and perform for the team as well. But you're so right, and I think that the senior girls among the team in Munster know that they can absolutely speak up and voice up whenever they need to, and it's not strictly a captain thing only. And I wouldn't have it any other way. And like you said, everyone's human, everyone makes mistakes, everyone has their bad days. So all you can do is, yeah, I suppose all I can do within that is lean on my teammates then and other senior leaders to speak up to, and I suppose to show by performance as well.
Yeah, 100%. And I actually think that's a very rugby thing rather than other sports. But I just think it takes so much pressure off a captain as well, when that happens, because I feel like in other sports, it's just, oh, he or she is the captain and, they're the one doing all the talking or whatever and the pressure's on. But I do love that rugby aspect where others will kind of take a lead and a charge, and I've kind of built up that leadership within the group.
Definitely, and like, look, I've obviously been led by so many fantastic captains, and that's how I've seen it too. And they've obviously, whenever I've been led by anyone else, they've offered me a space too to be able to speak up or bring new ideas, and I'm really big in that as well. Like we've a leadership group of about I think 8 players in at Munster, and all of their opinions and ideas and everything are so important. And I always want, I suppose, feedback and to know where we can or I can be better as well, because that's it. Like we're always just growing, developing, evolving as people and as well as the game. So any chance that I can to get any sort of feedback, I love it. And I always want to be better, and I'm so open to that as well because sure we're only human.
Absolutely. And it's just sometimes I feel when you get that feedback, it's nearly a platform for your next training session or what you need to do next. I think sometimes when you're going well, you're right, I have to repeat what I'm doing, but it's nearly easier sometimes to be said, oh, this could improve or you could do that better, because it's like you have an action plan for yourself now going into the next training session and game for, what comes next for myself.
Yeah, exactly. And like feedback is probably the number one biggest thing that I've learned is so important. And whether it's in rugby or anywhere else in your life, like even my career that I've been working in, like we always had feedback workshops to see, where can I be doing better and how can I offer myself more. And I just think that even for any young players, like being able to take on feedback and looking for it, but also to be able to feedback to maybe, coaches or more senior players too. It's definitely two ways. But if you can be open to that and have that, I suppose, that kind of growth mindset across any area in your life, like you're always going to be the best possible version of yourself.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's very difficult to work with people as well. Might as well be honest about it. Who have a fixed mindset too. You kind of it'll be an expectancy for everybody else in the group to have that as well. And once everybody has that, you can do so much as a team.
That's exactly it. And like, like I suppose the series that we're going into now, it is so short, so feedback will be so important to be able to develop our game from one game to the next. And generally that's how it is in sport. That saying of you're kind of as good as your last game, but if you can be building performances through looking back at tape and seeing where we can capitalize better on the strengths of our team, that's so important, and it's huge in rugby and huge, I suppose, in any job as well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it can, as you say, you can be the best of your own potential, or you can reach your potential for where you should go. Um, I want to ask you as well, and I'm very sorry for asking this, but I can't skip over it because I know it's been a huge part for you as well. Injuries. I know mentally it can definitely be difficult. How did you get through it all, or what kind of things did you do to kind of, help yourself get through it?
Yeah, and like, look, injury is just part of, I suppose, definitely every rugby player's career. It's obviously such a physical game. It's nearly inevitable that somebody will go through some sort of an injury during their time in rugby and in sport in general. And I suppose it is one of those things that always makes you a bigger and a better player. I know that's so cliche, but genuinely the setbacks and being able to deal with that and build up a little bit of resilience will do nothing but make you a better player and a better person. I think for me I definitely felt the mental load of it. It at the time that I would have, I suppose, had those knee injuries, I was contracted in with Ireland, so it was my job day in day out to play rugby. So sorry for an injury to come along and kind of stop me in my tracks with that. I definitely felt it as probably a little bit of an identity crisis. I kind of found myself questioning, like, oh my God, if I don't have rugby now, like, what do I have as a person and what do I bring to the table? So that took me a little bit to navigate, but it really meant that I had to kind of, I suppose, tap into my mental fitness and look at what that was. So my dad and brother would have helped me a lot with that. Obviously, Shane has had so many injuries and so many within professional contracts. At the time, my professional contract was very new to me. I was still even navigating, settling into that. So it meant that I had to lean into my mental fitness, and it's something now that I'm really, really big on. Understanding that, rugby is just a game, and that there is more to life too. But yeah, it was definitely a big hit for me when I had my injuries. But it allowed me to go back to my day job and, work in that and understand that I could develop in another area of high performance, I suppose. But it's also allowed me to tap into my mental fitness and really put the work in with that. I think, we go into the gym 3, 4, 5 times a week as rugby players and work our bodies so it allows us to perform on pitch. But when you think about what your brain needs and learning about, just like confidence, I had a lot of self-doubt issues. I questioned whether I was even able to kind of play rugby anymore and questioned what my body was actually physically able to do for me. So to be able to, I suppose, look at what we do physically in the gym versus what we do for our head, it's pretty insane to think that we probably don't even put an hour a week each into our mental fitness. And that was a really big eye-opening experience for me being injured, was being able to tap into my mental fitness and learn about it.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I feel like that's such a big thing for everybody because, like, if you said to someone, "Oh, you can't put your AirPods in. You have to be alone with your own thoughts now, and whatever's bothering you or on your mind, you kind of have to face up to it and see how you're going to get past it." People would tell you straight away that is their worst nightmare to try and do it. So I think it's great that you were able to kind of work with that and improve on it. And did you do any kind of, I suppose, journaling, or did you have your goals and timelines for when you wanted to get to places so that you could really tick it off and kind of move on? Would that have been anything for yourself like that?
Yeah, no, it definitely was. And like, I used to be one of those people who didn't want to be sitting alone with my thoughts. Like, I didn't want to face the music. And I think it's because I probably had so much self doubt built up and so much imposter syndrome built up that I thought that maybe facing it, I'd like see the truth that was the case. And it really wasn't the case. But I started journaling and trying to just get my thoughts down onto paper. And I started to, I I suppose goal setting has always been an interesting one to me because, you know, obviously everyone can have their goal on the pitch of going to play for Ireland or, you know, scoring 2 tries in this game. But for me, my goals always came more around my internal, like I just wanted to feel happiness again in the game.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to feel confident, no matter if that was playing back at my club level versus international level. But I would have started with journaling. And then I also just started to learn a bit more about the brain. What a thought is when it enters your brain, how your body processes that thought, and you know, maybe what your subconscious is doing in the background. And I really had to like reprogram myself in the way that I'd have a thought that would come into my brain, and it would be like nearly a very anxious thought for me, and I would just want to thought stop and avoid it and say, nope, I'm actually not going to deal with that now. I'm going to go out for a walk here, or I'm going to call someone to distract myself. But I wanted actually to really learn like everything that happens in your brain from the thought when it enters to how you process it. And then maybe when you're operating, and they say in the blue and in the red, and like I was operating in the red, I was operating in burnout so much because the mental load of everything was so much. But I started tapping into and actually just starting to, from a really, really logical place, start to understand like what is self-doubt, what is overthinking, how has that happened to me, and like what was the root cause. And I think being able to be logical with it was really important for me because I'm definitely an emotional person. So when I wouldn't get selected for a team, like it would nearly be like, oh, this is very personal here with me, whereas that's not the case at all. And sometimes like you feel like it is, but maybe it's just like I can't perform my best at the moment. And instead of being like, I'm crap, I'm not able, why am I even in these squads, I'd go and say, okay, I haven't been selected now. How can I get really logical about this? What is it in my game right now that, you know, is lacking or that I'm not tapping into as much as I can? Let me get some feedback of a coach here. What part of the feedback do I want to take and add now to help me get to this next level? But I was always, so I suppose I was always big on a very rounded answer. I was always big on journaling. The goal piece for me was always an interesting one because I think people set these big, massive goals, but I found that very intimidating and daunting because I had so much self-doubt built up within me after those years of injuries and even non-selection, just to not being able to play my best rugby. So I always set my goals as smaller things, as feeling happy on the field, feeling more confident on the field. And they're not, I suppose, as measurable, but it was just the self-work that I did. And I worked with a high-performance coach, and I still do, for the last 2 to 3 years. And we do weekly or bi-monthly sessions that are so important for me, and it allows me to just learn more about myself and my brain and all that. Sorry, no, I've been rambling on, but it's definitely a topic I'm really passionate about. And I think every player will have felt self-doubt and confidence issues, and it's just about figuring out like what works for you to regain that confidence. But I definitely needed support of someone else and my family as well.
No, it's fascinating, really, and it's just so easy to punish yourself, I feel. You know, when something doesn't go right, it's so easy to take this line of, oh, as you say, I'm no good, or I just, you know, it's so easy to kind of be hard on yourself. But it's great for you to see, I suppose, see the angle of going to the coach and say, well, what maybe do I need to do better? Or, you know, what can I do now to help myself move forward? You know, you're all already kind of accepting it and saying, I'm going to improve, rather than just saying, coming to this ultimatum like, I'm no good. I'm never going to make it. I'm just not performing well, or you know, I'm not good enough nearly. Which, if you say it out loud, it's crushing to yourself.
Yeah.
And you know, if you're doing that all the time mentally, it's very hard for you to be in a positive, good place. You know what I mean?
That's it. And like, I think you probably come further and further from yourself, because the reason you've probably gotten into that jersey or that squad is because you are confident, you are playing good rugby. And the more, I suppose, self-talk and negative self-talk you give yourself, you come further and further away from that player. And like my dad always says it, if I'm out on the field with one of my teammates, and it was when I used to play camogie, and if they missed a point, I'd never be like, oh, you're an idiot, you're crap, like how did you miss that point? You would never speak to your teammate like that. So why would you speak to yourself like that? Like, and self-talk is so important. to yourself and to be able to keep your confidence. But also comparison as well can be very important, and you're always going to be competing within these elite teams. And genuinely, all you should really compare yourself to is like the latest version of yourself and how you can get better. But yeah, I think the reason happiness and enjoyment has always been a very big thing for me and big goal for me is because I know I'll play my best when I'm really focusing on those elements. Like when I'm dreading going down to training, or when I'm full of self-doubt because I missed 5 tackles in the game last week, I won't be playing my best rugby. So yeah, happiness and enjoyment has been probably my biggest goals in life growing up. But it took me a long time to get there, and a lot of, I suppose, inner work and self-work and understanding the brain and how that works as well.
Yeah, no, and I think we all go through it to a degree as well, Maeve Óg. I just think if you're always comparing, as you say, you can never win because someone is always going to beat you at something. Whether it could be intellectually, it could be in terms of how you might have, maybe how you look in terms of performances. You know, if you score a try, someone scored 2 tries the weekend. If you get 15 tackles, someone might have get 18 tackles. You know, it's just impossible. But as you say, if you got 10 tackles this week, you got 12 the next week, like you're on a winner. You know what I mean? You
That's
shouldn't
exactly it.
matter at all what everybody else did.
That's exactly it. And like I suppose part of that is also the beauty of being in teams. Like you're gonna have players around you who maybe have a stronger carry than you. You might have the stronger tackle, but if they have the stronger carry and you want to develop there and get better in a team, you can go and ask that player, hey, can I grab you for 10 minutes after to go through the technicalities of a carry and footwork and evasion and all this. So I think as a player, like if you can lead with that growth, like always wanting to be better, that's really powerful too, and that is genuinely rugby to a T. Like people are so willing to help you get better wherever you want in your game, and same with me. I'm always dying to talk to young players and dying for them to ask me questions and see where we can help you get better. But yeah, you really have to focus on yourself because when you're in teams, it's easy to compare. We're all competitive people. That's
Yeah.
why we play sport, but get competitive with yourself. You know.
Yeah, and do you know what? The prop wishes she had the speed of the winger, and the winger wishes she had the kind of the strength of the prop, you know, and it's always the same and you can't help it, you know.
Exactly. And like, sorry, the props are the most skillful players on the field. Like the technicalities of understanding, you know, how long your bind needs to be, where your knee needs to be positioned over your toes. Like it is insane to think the level of detail and I suppose knowing of your own body in that proposition is insane. So, so much respect for props, and I don't know how some of them do it.
Yeah, and even the twisting and turning, as you say, the timing, and just that there's so many different elements to their game that they have to do. It's unreal.
Oh, it's unbelievable, and so much respect for players who really go and just take on the prop life and really delve into it. There's a player from Blackrock, Christy Haney. She's like the scrum guru. I've never seen a player like so committed and so understanding as well of every element of a scrum. She's top class, and I've so much respect for it.
Yeah, no, it's unreal. When you see a player do their kind of their job or their role on the pitch really well, you really just admire it. And especially when you're playing with them day in, day out, it's just unreal.
It's unreal. It is.
Tell me as well, who would be the best player you've played with? I know you're probably going to say there's so many or there's loads, but is there one or two anybody kind of stand out in your time as well so far?
God, it's such a hard question. If I'm thinking about
Yeah.
I'm thinking about all these different positions and different players that I've played with. I mean, one that really stands out. She was the captain of Ireland at the time of my first cap was Ciara Griffin. I just think she's such a classy player. She's never the loudest player or most in your face player at all on the field, but the way she just puts her head down, like the way she used to go to work and bring every single player along with her it's exceptional. She's so cool. I actually think that's what I see when I look at her. I'm like, she's so cool and such an unbelievable player. So she's definitely someone that really stands out to me. I think another player is probably Aoife Dalton. She's a current player with Ireland, but she's just top class. She's another player as well who just really quietly goes about her business, and then you see her on the field and you're like, oh my god, she's incredible in every part of the game. And I think she came into the Ireland squad really young as well, maybe when she was 18 or 19. And I just to see the journey that she's gone on to consistently show up and perform and play for Ireland from that young age. Like that's something that I was not able, like, or could not have done at that age. Like it took me a long time to figure out like what works for me, figure out my head, and also to see such a young player go and handle themselves like that. It's unbelievable. And I think Ciara Griffin was the same in that too. She was a real young player, in with Ireland, in with Munster, and just those players that go around very quietly about their business, but their performance speaks a thousand words. Like they're two players that have definitely stand out to me.
Yeah, unbelievable. And I don't know why there's something special about that for me. Like they don't say a word, they're really quiet, reserved, and the next minute they go out on the pitch and it's just like a complete expression of themselves and they're like just ferocious in what they're doing. I don't know, I always felt there's something really kind of special or unreal about that it's kind of like once they step on the pitch, it's like a switch.
Yeah.
They're just performing,
Definitely, like, and both of them, like, obviously, Ciara Griffin was the captain of Ireland for so many years, and Aoife Dalton's been the captain of the Wolfhounds, the Celtic Challenge side too. So they've both been captains as well, even though they aren't the loudest player on the field. Which I think, growing up, maybe that's a bit of a misconception that sometimes you need to be the loudest, most vocal player. But these two players are just they're animals, they're workhorses, and they go about their business in their own way, and then they step out into the field and you're like, oh my god.
Yeah, I know. And I always feel sometimes too that, and I've seen it so much in sports, sometimes the person who's actually making the most noise, it's really embarrassing if you go out on the pitch then and you're not really playing too well or you're not one of the big players because, you have to kind of earn the respect of one side and the other. And I always think as well, just, someone that wears the really bright boots, I'm like, just like if you're wearing the really bright boots, you must be unbelievable when you go on the pitch. I always kind of feel those things. Don't make too much noise unless you're kind of going to back it up.
Yeah, and like, look, everyone obviously has their own way of expressing themselves, and I think that's the lovely thing about rugby too, is you're just accepted in that way. No matter who you are, or what position you're coming into. But yeah, I do think that it's just different styles, like, isn't it? And you see it growing up, and I think that was definitely a thing. I was very naive growing up. I'd see like the captain and I'd be like, oh, that's exactly how I need to be like when I get older. But it's not. It's so wonderful seeing different styles of captains and players just leaning into themselves. And I know in rugby anyway, with the boots, like, people love, like, definitely women's rugby, like, there's a whole tanning routine, nail routine, makeup routine that goes on before games, and I love it. And I love that side of the game that. And some players do and some players don't, at all. Like, I don't care what my hair looks like. You'll see by some of the photos. But I love the girls that do, and I love that as well. It shows that, you don't need to be this masculine player to go and play rugby. There is literally, as we've said on this call multiple times, just a place for everyone. Whether you do want to get up 2 hours early to get your plaiting in, your nails in and all this, or whether you're just happy to roll out onto the pitch, like, it's class that there's a place for every type of person.
Yeah, no, it's unreal. And I just feel like for some people, it's like, I feel good now, so now I'm going to play good. And it's literally like a ticking off for themselves. I'm the way I want to be now, and now I can go out and perform and do really well. And, I agree with you. I think that's great. And, I think it's whatever you need to do. Everybody has their little something, before a game or a ritual that they need. And once they do have that done, then, don't take it away from them and let them go out and perform down the pitch.
Exactly. Yeah, everyone minds their own business, has their own routine, and it's class then to see. It's class to see now as well on socials. You see the girls documenting that and what that looks like. It's brilliant.
But that's going to make somebody else feel comfortable as well. Exactly. If they go to do it,
Exactly. And like, we actually used to have in Ireland camp, we'd have like a hair rota and a nail rota. So like, some of the girls would bring in nail varnish and they'd do people's nails the night before if that's what they wanted. And then the next morning you'd book in your slot with the platters of the team, whoever could plait. And like, that is just a thing that is done across all of rugby. And it's actually lovely too, because you get to have those small conversations with your teammates that you don't get to have on the field. So I suppose it is so much more than just getting a plait in your hair. It's a lovely part of the women's game.
Is there any kind of pre-match ritual you have yourself then that you're just like, I need to, because I know some people might, whether it's a scrum cap or it's just there's something. Is there anything that you do yourself before each game?
Yeah, I try not to get too superstitious. Like, if I don't wear the same socks that I've worn for the last however many years, I try not to get superstitious, because I don't want my head to have to rely on something like that could go wrong. I just usually try to get after 3 small goals in every game. So usually one of mine is always kind of work rate. Like whenever I feel like I'm slacking, like push 1% harder, or sometimes as a back row, I'm always trying to look at my jackal or my post tackle effort. So maybe I'll say increase my speed off the ground. Small goals like that, I generally have about 3 that I will get after. But that's kind of as far as my pre-match routine goes. I never want to have something that, like, oh, I hope I play better now because I have these socks on. My brother used to always say it. You'd rather know you're ready versus hope that you're ready. So I just try to tick all the boxes in training that week and have 3 small goals I generally try to get after.
Yeah, 100%. And I think sometimes people try nearly to create something for themselves, and it's the worst thing you could do, because the minute you do that, then you have to keep going with it. You can't, almost stop or take it away,
I have to use this frying pan to cook my eggs when you're over in Edinburgh and you're like, oh my god, I can't have the frying pan to cook the eggs. No, I know it's a funny superstitious thing, and I think whatever works for you too, but I definitely just wouldn't be comfortable having something like that because I'd forget it. Like I'd forget whatever I wanted to bring with me. So I try to stay as logical as possible with those things.
Yeah, no, absolutely. No, and look, you don't need a panic before a game too, just because whether you say it's the socks or the frying pan or whatever, you don't want that on your mind before a game.
No, exactly. You just want to focus on the game. So I try to keep it as rugby focused as possible.
Yeah, 100%. And what's next now, or what's the goal at the moment? You're preparing for the new season, or is that the main goal at the moment?
Yeah, it is. So at the moment, we actually have the Interpros coming up. So the interprovincial series for the women's game in Ireland is across August. There's 4 fixtures. They fall every Saturday in August, except the first one. So we'll be playing at Munster, where we won it last year. So we'd be hoping to go on now and do the same thing. It's a lovely competition, and especially lovely this year because last year the Women's World Cup was on. This year, all the internationals will be playing with their provinces, and the Interpros now, they're played in the big stadiums across Ireland, which is lovely. So that is the current, I suppose, goal or thing we're working towards is with Munster. And yeah, I just can't wait to get out and play now. We've been training all summer. So just go out and enjoy my rugby, play with my teammates in Munster. You only get 4 opportunities in Ireland to put on that interprovincial shirt a year, just because that is the season. You play every province once, and then you play a 1-2 playoff and a 3-4 playoff. So just really, I suppose, cherish these next couple of weeks, and then I'll be back to my club, Blackrock, up in Dublin, where our goal will definitely be to go on and win the women's AIL. But yeah, for me, it's just to continue staying injury free and continue enjoying my rugby.
Yeah, it's brilliant. No, and I think the buzz from the World Cup as well. I just, the crowds are just getting bigger and bigger, and it's great for you playing as well. But it's great to see so many just going to watch, enjoying it, and getting involved as well. It's just so good.
Oh, exactly. And like that's all we want, is to help to try and inspire the next generation to pull on a shirt, or young boys and girls. And we actually did an open training session in Virgin Media Park 2 weeks ago with Munster, and I think it's one of the first ones that the women's team has done down there, and it's just class. It's just class to see people get so excited about it. And it also reminds you as a player who is in these pressure places, playing for big titles and stuff, that like, look at those young kids that you're actually having a positive influence on. So that, I think that's always probably the biggest goal for women's rugby players, is to just inspire someone to pick up a ball.
Yeah, no, and I love the idea of open training sessions, just like letting, nobody's going to be stealing the tactics or whatever like that, or get too close. Just letting them in just to have a look and just see it every time. I think it's an unreal idea.
It is, and our coach Matt Brown, he had the kids out on the pitch. We were playing games with them. We were, doing skills with them and stuff like that. So you're getting into the thick of it as well, which is class.
Yeah, no, that's steady. And look, when they go I know they're not in school now, but when they go back to school, or they go back to their parents or tell their grandparents as well, it's just all so cool.
It is. It's unreal, and it's just unreal too to be able to do that within a game. Obviously, as in provincial level, we're amateur at the moment, but a game that is going professional. It's really special to be able to have like one-on-one conversations and one-on-one, I suppose, sessions as well with these younger players. It's really cool, and something that I would have loved as well growing up. So the fact that it's available now is really special.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. But that is, when you say it like that, like the 4 games, that is just, it's performer, that's it. It's really kind of, you have to be on the ball basically from the start in those games.
Yeah, it is. You do, and I think we always say it. Oh, we care where we're sitting at the end of August. You've your 3 games first. We want to be in that 1-2 playoff. But you're right. Like it moves very fast, and I think at this stage, everybody that's played in Interpro knows. Okay, like we just have to learn quick, learn on the hop, aim to put string performances together. And yeah, I suppose it's just the nature of the Interpros.
Yeah, unbelievable. Maeve Óg, thanks very much for coming onto the podcast.
Thanks for
It's
having
been
me, Chrissy.
so great to hear about your journey, and you're inspiring so many young girls to get involved in rugby and play sports. And even as a Leinster man, I wish you all the best with Munster in interprovincial as well.
No, thank you so much, Chrissy, and thanks for giving us space as well for the women's game and women's sport. Like any of the athletes are always just delighted to promote it and chat about it. So thank you.
No, it's great, and let's keep it up.
Absolutely.
Thanks for listening to the Emerald Athlete podcast. If you enjoyed the episode, make sure to leave a review, and don't forget to check out our Instagram page, the Emerald Athlete Podcast.